Perfect. We're live. So what's up, everybody on YouTube? That should be where this is streaming to. I just wanted to hop on quick and do like a little, I don't know, impromptu, spontaneous podcast. And the reason is because I typically record my podcast in advance, like sometimes a couple of weeks, sometimes a month. And something timely is happening right now that we've been getting a lot of questions about. So I figured this is a good time to hop on live and kind of just share my thoughts and hopefully some advice that can help you if you either already own an e-commerce store or you're thinking about starting an e-commerce store. So again, I'm not sure if this is even streaming right. I'm trying to use a software I've never used before. So if you can hear me and it works, just let me know in the comments and then I'll know that the software is worth it. But we're going to talk about the coronavirus. We're going to talk about dropshipping. We're going to talk about kind of what's happening as of today, which is March 9th. 2020, and then what I expect to see in the future. So the first thing that I'll say is, if you ask me like, oh, do I think that the economy is going to collapse more than it is and that this is going to change the world and that, everything is headed to we're all broke. I don't think that's happening. I think we'll bounce back quickly. With that being said, I truly believe in the, the Dunning-Kruger effect, that when you don't know anything about a certain topic, you think you know everything. So, maybe it'll go the total opposite direction. And I hope that's not what happens. But if it does, fair warning, I'm not an expert on that. With that being said, here is where we actually are in reality as of now. So first off, since the Chinese New Year, which was when it started the end of January, the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, is when all the factories in China close and people get a whole bunch of time to be with their families and finally get a break from 100-hour work weeks. And since that, people really haven't got back to work. There are still a ton of factories that are closed in China, all throughout China, that aren't shipping products anymore. So there are definitely big changes to drop shipping. So the first one, if you're watching this, that you're probably aware of, is that if you are drop shipping direct from China, probably haven't shipped anything out in the past 6 weeks or so. So if you're in that situation, I could just give you some advice. But first I'll say, I feel for you. Even though our business model is not drop shipping from China, I know a lot of people that tune into the podcast or watch on YouTube do that. So if you're in that situation and you haven't been able to ship orders in 6 weeks, yeah, that's trouble. And I know a lot of people are literally losing their businesses over this. So first of all, if that is you, my advice and what I would do is just cut my ad spend completely right now. I would not be marketing even to build up remarketing audiences or anything like that. Instead, I just would not be spending any money and my stores would kind of just be sitting there with notices that products are delayed in shipment until further notice, because that really should be what you're telling customers right now if you're drop shipping from China, even if the factories that you work with are telling you we can resume shipping on X date, because who knows if X date is actually going to be X date? Who knows what the future looks like? So what you don't want to happen, again, if you're drop shipping from China, is that you get yourself in a situation where you are where you're accepting orders, where you're accepting customers' money, and you're just giving them information that you have from your suppliers that, hey, we'll ship out 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, because you don't know if that's really going to happen. And the worst thing that could happen if you're in that situation is you still get a whole bunch of orders. That date rolls around. Guess what? Factories can't reopen, products can't ship. Now you have all these angry customers that either want refunds or they're going to file chargebacks. And then you already spent your money on ads. So even if you refund them, you're still down in money because you have an ad spend. So again, if you're in that situation, you're drop shipping from China, my advice is stop spending money on ads. Just make your website so it says, estimated ship date is, so for the people that find you organically, but be careful not to go into a hole in terms of ad spend now, because you just don't know what the future holds. So the next thing that I'll say, like what's currently happening with our stores and people in our community that are part of Dropship Lifestyle with our stores, or their stores, I should say, is really nothing much has changed yet. Okay. And that doesn't mean things won't change in the future. So I'll let you know again what I think might happen and what you can do to kind of address it now. So even though we work with domestic suppliers, meaning for me, suppliers in the States, for our members in the UK, suppliers in the UK, and Australia, suppliers in Australia, when we work with domestic suppliers, most of the products are still made in China because that's where most stuff is made. So it's made in China, it comes into the States, it's at our suppliers' warehouses. When we sell it, it ships same day or next day, right? So as of now, we haven't ran into any inventory issues. Everything is still in stock. orders are coming in as usual, we're shipping as usual, all is fine. But because it's been now so long and continuing that the main factories are closed, I do think even if factories opened back up today, I think there's going to be a date where certain products, specifically bestsellers, start to just be out of stock for extended amounts of time. So the way it typically works with like our stores and our student stores is the 80-20 rule definitely holds true, where 80% of our sales will come from 20% of our SKUs. So if I have 1,000 products on my website, there's probably 200 of them that will sell, probably 800 of them that won't sell at all. And then even to 80-20, that 200 even more, there's probably of them that I sell like crazy. So when I'm talking about products that I think will eventually run out of inventory with the dropship lifestyle model, it's those products. It's the hot sellers from all the top brands that, you know what they are because you're already selling them if you're using the dropship lifestyle business model. So let's say you're in that situation, right? What can you do? Well, what we're doing is staying in constant communication with all of our reps at each brand, and we're asking for inventory reports, and we're trying to get them at least every week. Typically, some suppliers send them every week, some send them every month, some never send them at all. And for the ones that send them every month or that never send them at all, those are the ones where we're now requesting those weekly reports so that we can know if there's only 100 units left of one of our best-selling products, we got to make a decision, right? What are we going to do when that becomes 50, when that becomes 20, when that becomes 0, and the brand says we're not going to have more for the next 2 months or whatever it is. So what we're doing now is just monitoring those numbers. Nothing has dropped to the point yet where we've taken any action, but what we're going to do and what I recommend you do is as you do start to see the numbers dwindle down, and what that means, like as far as an actual number, that depends on you and how many units you sell of the products. But once you see it drop to a number where you're like, this is only going to last us a month, even if we have it, even if this was all ours, then what I recommend you do is reach out to your rep at the company, whichever brand it is, and try to pre-purchase the inventory. So you might be thinking like, Anton, I think we're drop shipping here. What are you talking about pre-purchasing the inventory? Well, what I mean is that you would either put down a deposit on those, let's call it 20 items in stock, or you would just buy them outright and pay the wholesale cost, but you would have the supplier still keep them. So they'd be in stock with your supplier, but they would now be your products. Again, you can either buy them outright, you can work out a deal where you put down a deposit. Either way, you now have access to that inventory, and that will at least get you through, again, the next month, the next 2 months, whatever that is for you based on your numbers. And there is like an upside to this. Again, this is outside of everybody being sick and anybody dying, which of course is terrible. But the upside to it is if you do that, if you secure the remaining inventory, then when any consumer wants it, even if they go to one of your top 3 competitors, they're going to see that it's out of stock with no ETA, and then you'll be selling it and you'll sell it faster. So definitely keep an eye on the numbers. Again, we haven't had to do that yet, but I do expect that to happen, especially with some suppliers in the future, because you probably know how this is, but some brands are amazing with inventory. They keep a ton of stuff in stock, and some are not that great. They're only, have inventory for the next month or two. So keep an eye on your numbers, do that. Now, what can you do if either it's too late for that? Let's just say one of your best-selling products from one of your best-selling brands is now out of stock, and they're saying, we hope to have it back in 2 months, but we don't really know. Well, first thing you should do immediately is cut all of your ad spend for that product. So again, whatever it is, right? Just go ahead and omit it from all of your Google shopping campaigns. So that way you're not spending money having people go to a page where they're going to know that they have to now wait 2 months for it. Also, you want to make sure you're updating all your product pages when this happens so that customers know, hey, if you order this from us, the estimated ship date is X, whatever it is, and that's still an estimate. And you can even say, due to shipping, manufacturing delays in China, the estimate is X date, but it may be later, right? So just be totally upfront with people, because even though we're not drop shipping from China, we don't want to run into the situation either where we're accepting a bunch of money and then customers are like, hey, where's my stuff? And then you're like, oh, the factory's been shut down since January 25th, and hopefully they're back to work next month, right? So just be clear with customers. So again, update the product pages. is omit those products from your Google product listing ads, because you don't want to be spending money on something that is probably going to cause you headaches. Now, something else you can and should do, because you're most likely not just getting traffic from Google product listing ads, you're most likely also getting a bunch of organic traffic if you're established already. So what we're going to do when this happens, if it happens, and what you should do is update those product pages of those products that are now back ordered for 2 months, whatever it is. And on those product pages where you're letting customers know that the estimated ship date is XYZ, let them know, hey, if you want something now, here is what we recommend. So I'm at a stand-up desk right now. If I was selling this white L-shaped stand-up desk and this brand, I forgot who even makes it, but if they, let us know that, hey, this thing's out of stock now until the factories reopen, what I would do on that product page on my site for this L-shaped stand-up desk is have a huge banner that said, this product's not available from anyone, not just us, until X. Here's what we recommend that can ship out today or tomorrow, whatever your shipping window is, and then link them to something else that is recommended. Again, you don't want paid traffic going to that, but then all that organic traffic that's still finding you, all those people that just hit your site are clicking around and see that, they can see what you recommend instead. And if they really do need the product quicker, they can go ahead and order that. Or if they're willing to wait, they can maybe place a deposit on your site for the one that's back ordered. So again, that's what we're going to do. That's what I recommend you do. So I'm just looking over here because I made some notes of some things that I don't want to miss and that I want to make sure you're aware of. This is an important one too. On your store, right? When this happens, if something sells out, that's like your best selling product. Let's say you have one product that brings in 50% of your sales, right? And because that's your thing, that's your moneymaker, you've probably already done a whole bunch of work to make that product page even better. Probably has the best descriptions, the best reviews, the best photos. It's probably shown off in your best sellers page as number one. You probably have links to your homepage to that product, because that's the thing you already know makes you money. So hopefully you've poured fuel on the fire, right? You've done more to make that product or those products even better to sell more on your site. So what you want to do is restructure other products and restructure your website to find new winners and to make other products winners. So let's just say your numbers, 2, 3, and 4 bestsellers behind that number one that was making up half your revenue. Go to those product pages and give them more love. Give them what you've already given number one. Get those amazing product descriptions. Get those amazing bonus offers. Get those unique photos, get a video on there, get more reviews from your suppliers, and make those product pages now the ones that stand out. Put those at the top of your collections pages in Shopify. Put those on your homepage so that people see those and click to them, the things they can actually get. So yeah, it's some work on your end, but that's what you got to do, right? Because what is going to happen, and that's kind of my advice, like that sums up, what we're doing, what I recommend you do, if things turn and products aren't available anymore. But what's going to happen in general if the things stay down and this lingers on longer and longer is people will, quote unquote, panic. And that includes business owners, right? And that includes the business owners that aren't doing the things that I'm talking about and the ones that maybe spent 20 grand on ads last month that was super profitable. And now let's say in April, they don't have their best sellers in, but they still spend 20 grand on ads. They start having people buy. People are saying, hey, where's my product? They're telling them, oh, the factory's still closed. That's when people are going to start to get in trouble. And that's when people are going to be like, okay, I don't know what to do. And they're going to be literally burning money and losing money. What's great about this business model, especially with the way we do things at Dropship Lifestyle, is that the costs, your fixed costs, are literally next to nothing. Like all in with Shopify and some apps, maybe even an employee, a virtual assistant, maybe it's $500 a month fixed. So don't let that variable number going out, especially in terms of ads, keep blowing out the door if profit drops, and then make sure that you have it ready to reinvest when things get good. But what else can you do, right? So outside of everything we just talked about, what else can you do? What will we do? Well, look, eventually, this isn't happening yet, again, because everyone's still fine. But if this continues, if 2 months from now, products are out of stock from the US suppliers we sell for, and customers are complaining to other stores that are still actively selling and promoting them, and those stores aren't making money anymore, that's when those owners will start panicking, and that's when a lot of businesses will be available for sale. So if you've ever wanted to purchase an e-commerce store before, or if you've ever wanted to buy out one of your competitors, there might be a good time to do it, again, within the coming months. That's assuming things don't turn around, by then. But if things continue this way, I'm personally going to be looking for opportunity to acquire different sites in different niches from the owners that aren't properly managing their stores now, that start to see their net profit really decrease, that have to get a lower multiple for it, and that might think that they're done, that might think they have no more opportunity, when really I know and you know that the opportunity is still there if you manage the business properly. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested in that. And let me just say one more thing. Like, if you're watching this right now, excuse me, and you're like, okay, that all sounds good, but I don't have enough money to buy like my competitors, I'm just getting started. Well, maybe you're not buying a store that's currently doing $100,000 a month that drops to $70,000 a month. Maybe you're buying a site that has been around for 10 years, that doesn't do any paid ads, that relied only on organic traffic, but that has certain assets that you would love. So maybe that is an e-commerce store that has a really high ranking, like in Google, has a really high domain authority, that has an amazing collection of reviews and blog posts, and maybe that even has supplier relationships with brands that you haven't been able to get approved with yet. Maybe that's a site you can pick up a few months from now at a really good price, because again, maybe they're relying on SEO now that's not leading to any sales for them. So again, one thing we're doing, one thing I recommend you do as well. So let me do this, because we are live. I'm going to go into the question box and I'm going to see if we have any questions in here, and I'll answer them before we wrap up. And just so everybody knows, if this is working right, again, I have no idea, but if it is, what's going to happen is at the end, maybe 20 minutes after, this video should stay on YouTube on our channel. So youtube.com/dropshiplifestyle. And if you just hopped on, you can go there and watch it from the beginning. So let's see. Melissa said, let me move this over here so I could actually read it, said, even if they are correct on shipping dates, there's going to be a backlog at the ports. They're only so big. Yeah. And Melissa, that's a great point. And that's like what I'm saying too. Even if they tell you like, this is the date, it doesn't mean business as usual starting at that date. So yeah, I totally agree with you. There will be delays at the ports because picture, what is it now? The end of January, all of February, most likely all of March. Picture 2 months worth of shipments arriving within a week, and they're usually busy as it is. Okay, let's see. Rue says, can you please explain how important a unique product photos are with dropshipping and ecom? So yeah, I mentioned like building out your product pages and having, better photos and whatnot. So you don't need unique in the sense that like only you have them, but what you want to make sure you're doing is on your product pages, you have the best resolution photos you can have, and you want to make sure you have as many as you can have from as many angles, showing as many things in detail that need to be shown, maybe showing the products, not just in like their stock photo shoot. So if I was selling this stand-up desk and the supplier originally had sent me 5 photos from different angles just of this desk with a white background, I would actively be searching online for other photos of it, maybe in somebody's home, in somebody's office. I'd be asking my suppliers if they have photos of this set up at different trade shows or even in their office. And I'd be trying to get all these unique photos to put on my site so that when people found me, they'd be able to actually get a feel for what it looks like. So they don't need to be only yours, but you just want to make sure you don't just have a few photos that everybody else has that are just like, here's this angle, this angle, this angle. You want to do more basically, but use the main ones as well. Okay, one more question I'll answer here from Melissa. And Melissa says, where do you look for stores that are for sale? So Melissa, in this scenario that I'm talking about, I'm going to be, again, if things don't get better within a short amount of time, I'm going to be directly reaching out to the stores themselves. So just by doing research on Google and then literally emailing them or calling them and seeing if, we can work a deal out. So just a direct contact, because that's the way, pretty much everything's for sale at a price, right? So that's the way I recommend doing it. But if you're just looking in general for sites for sale, the site that I recommend is empireflippers.com. I am good friends with the owners of it. I have been for like almost a decade now, but they have a really good platform, really good listings, but I'm not sure that again, in 2 months, people start panicking and their sites go for sale there right away. But if you just want to see kind of like what's available now, I recommend empireflippers.com. So cool. And there's questions coming in. Everybody said it worked, so that's good news. Yeah, let me know, guys, if you like these lives. I'll probably do more of them in the future, just an easy way to kind of talk about current topics, current events. But we will wrap this one up. Again, if you hopped on late, look for the replay on our YouTube page. I have no idea how long it takes. I was going to say in a few minutes, but maybe a couple hours. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. And as always, if you like this podcast, go on iTunes, Spotify, whatever you use, search for eCommerce Lifestyle, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. I publish 2 episodes every week and try to share value that can help you build and grow or even start your e-commerce store. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you. And yeah, I'll talk to you in the next podcast. See ya.